Good evening. My name is Ross Nova, running for governor of Minnesota under the Republican Party. Welcome to the War Room Kitchen, where I talk real issues that matter to families. That being said, one thing I like to talk about is I like to pass is called the Business Perimeter Act. Business Perimeter Act is pretty much protection for businesses from protesters. I'm going to just read here because it's a lot easier. Businesses and religious buildings have the right to operate without obstruction, intimidation, or disruption. Protesters conducting on a private commercial property and parking areas have, in some cases, interfered with customers' access, employee safety, and emergency response, which is very, very true. The purpose of this act is not to restrict lawful speech, but to establish reasonable time, place, and manner rules that protect private property's rights and public safety, which I agree. The moment you enter a business to protest, you are pretty much interfering with their right to do business because you're interfering from them doing business. Have you guys thought about that? Probably not. That being said, let's continue. Business means any privately owned commercial establishment, including retail stores, offices, restaurants, warehouses, industrial facilities. Private businesses, properties, meaning all land, buildings, parking lots, driveways, loading zones, exterior areas owned or leased by a business. Protest or demonstration means any organized or unorganized gatherings of two or more persons intended to express political, ideological, social, or religious views through chant, signage, amplified speech, marching, or similar conduct. Public right-of-way means public sidewalks, streets, areas traditionally open for public pedestrian travel. Prohibited conduct. No person shall organize, lead, participate in, or encourage a protest or demonstration on private business property without express permission of the business owner or authorized agent. And I can promise you, every time you'll not get that. No person shall conduct, protest, or demonstrate in business parking lot, driveway, or any type of entryway to enter parking lot, loading zone, or building entrances. Pretty much no protest inside the building or outside the building on private business property. Protest and demonstration must be conducted only on public sidewalks or public right-of-way, must not block pedestrians or vehicle traffic, meaning the entrances to the parking lots. This act does not prohibit lawful express activity conducted on public sidewalks that does not obstruct access, peaceful activities conducted on business properties without written or verbal permission from the owner, authorized manager, individual expression that is not part of organized protest and does not disrupt business operation. So penalties, let's talk about penalties. Ooh, I like this one. A person only violates this act only is guilty of misdemeanor, punishable by a fine not more than $1,000, imprisonment for not more than 90 days. Each day violation continues constitute a separate offense. Enhanced penalties. Serious business interference. A person who during a violation blocks entrances or exits, which is really disturbing. When protesters are blocking entrances, that can be very dangerous and is impeding on their businesses. Families try and get in, grab a family meal, and go home. Obstruct customers or employees, use amplified sound devices, engage in threatening, harassing, or intimidation conduct, which I have seen. And no, you sitting there all peaceful, loving, doving inside the business is still considered protesting, and it's a big no-go. I don't care what song you're singing. I don't care if it's peace for the world. You're protesting, you're inside the business, that's a no-go. Peace for the world. Engage in threatening, harassing, intimidation conduct is guilty of gross misdemeanor punishable by not more than $2,000 or imprisonment not more than 180 days. Local state law enforcement agencies are authorized to enforce this act. Officers may order violators to disperse and may arrest when necessary to restore order. So you will get a verbal warning, leave, or you'll be arrested. If you don't leave, you will be arrested. No business owners, employees, or law enforcement officers acting in good faith under this act shall be subject to civil liabilities for enforcement of this action. So if you don't leave and you get dragged out, you cannot sue the business. Common sense, you would think. So I think protesters going onto business property is a big no-go. I don't care if it's negative 20 degrees. If you believe in your protest that much, then stand on public sidewalks, not inside businesses. They're not paying for you to stand there, using up their resources, their heat, when you're not buying stuff. And in fact, I've seen a lot of videos out there where families are trying to get in to do their shopping with kids. And there's protesters blocking entrances, doing loud sounds, whistles, shouting, singing, whatever. It's annoying. It's disruption of business. And oftentimes they lose business. And the thing is, that's why I believe in this Business Perimeter Act, because you're causing businesses to lose money. Downtown Minneapolis and South Minneapolis, we hear, or even in St. Paul, we hear businesses losing millions because during that whole ICE raid. The thing is, families don't want to go to those businesses where there's protest. We don't. I stayed out of that area during the whole entire ICE protest rallies and disruption. And oftentimes businesses have to, or they feel like they're obligated to follow what protesters are doing. If protesters are saying no ICE, businesses feel like they're obligated to put no ICE sign on their windows or their businesses, so their businesses will not get destroyed, because they feel like if they don't put no ICE in front of their doors, then their business will be destroyed. There'll be a lot of confrontation. There'll be a lot of shouting. There may be fights. There may be destruction to the business. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. If businesses don't have Black Lives Matter in front of their doors, they feel like their businesses will be destroyed. Well, are you not for Black Lives Matter? Oh, but you should. Black Lives Matter. Same thing with ICE. Same thing with anything. Businesses oftentimes have to go with what protesters are protesting, even though they don't agree. Most businesses don't agree; they just do it. There are videos out there where they pretty much says, "Yeah, we have to put no ICE in front of our doors, signage, because we fear that our businesses will be destroyed." That's intimidation. How would you like if someone comes into your establishment and says, "Oh, if you're not conservative, I'm going to destroy your house"? How would you like that? You wouldn't. That's why we had to keep political out of businesses, out of schools. Businesses are there to provide jobs, right? They're there to improve the communities. Protesters are destroying that. They're taking that away. And I feel so bad for a lot of these businesses that are closing, not because of ICE agents, because the protesters are preventing families from going out and having a good time. No family wants to go out and celebrate birthdays, celebrate whatever, and going out to businesses, whether it's shopping or restaurants. They don't want that. They don't want to deal with protesters. They don't want to deal with parking situations, because oftentimes when there's a lot of protests, there's a lot of parking spots that are taken by the protesters that aren't doing any business. So when someone like me, who's not interested in the protest, wants to go out, I had to spend 30 minutes trying to find a parking spot. I have to walk 5-6 blocks, right, to the restaurant that I want to go to. Do you think I want that? No. So I avoid it. I don't go out. That's why the businesses have lost a lot of money. And now the Minnesota wants to give money to those businesses because they claim it's ICE agents' fault when it's really the protesters. That's what I believe. So this Business Protection Act, Business Perimeter Act, will prevent protesters from entering business grounds. That way businesses can safely operate, right? Now, if you're downtown Minneapolis or South Minneapolis or St. Paul, there's a lot of protests going on. Even though they're not entering your establishment, people are still not going to go out to your establishment because, like I said, all the parking spots are taken up by protesters, and we just don't want to deal with protesters. So every time there's a major protest that's lasting week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, every time there's protesters that last that long, businesses are losing millions. Millions. So next time you protest, think about that. Think about what harm you're doing to the local businesses, to the mom and pop shops that you claim you care about, when really you're keeping customers away. Just my thought. Ross Nova, shooting forward, brighter, bolder for a better tomorrow. Thank you.